Hello and welcome back to Beartooth Hill Bike Park in Planet Coaster, and we are in double figures with this series. We are now on to the 10th episode and we do get a lot done. I've got a lot of footage to show you in this video. I think it was around 8 hours of footage after it was done, so this is sped up quite quickly, but it is all one building and hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult to see what's going on. And this building is actually going to be a cafe at the top of the mountain. So this is the summit, it's the highest point of the park. I believe it's around 100 meters vertically above the entrance, so it's quite high up. And at the moment I'm just building a little observatory, you know, like a panorama, a viewpoint, and this is going to give you a, well, probably 270 degree of the park. There won't be much to see behind because that is just the building that it is part of, but it does stretch out from the building and it hangs over this cliff, and it's going to give some brilliant views of the coasters, and you know, it's just going to be really good, and I'm very happy with the end result. This is probably one of the most complex builds I've done, but I'm very happy with it. So for the first part of this building, as you are watching now, I did use the rotation method, and I do like to use this a lot. It makes your buildings look advanced and it's a lot easier than you may imagine. You can kind of just see the method, the process that I go through to do this, and it's really quite simple. You just have to try it and eventually you'll get better at it, and it's, yeah, I recommend trying this. But yeah, you can just see their pole going through, that's like the vertical point, and then there's a little spike on the top of this. This would almost be a lightning rod in case there's some kind of thunderstorm, so that the lightning will strike this pole and go into the earth instead of hitting the building and possibly causing a fire or whatever lightning would do. But there are some custom supports on a building, not actually a coaster, but yeah, I do like the support structure for that. I think it looks quite realistic, but yeah, it would be quite good to stand on there. It might almost be quite thrilling because it's just glass, but anyway, we are now stretching into the mountain now, and we're just making this thin walkway that stretches out to this viewpoint, and this will join the viewpoint up with the cafe, which we will build like probably halfway through this video. And yeah, that's not all we do. There are some interesting features on the roof for this building, as you'll see later on, so I'm looking forward to showing you that as well. But we just put in some of these concrete supports in to make it look quite realistic, to make it look like it's stable, because it does look a little bit flimsy before I put the concrete in, so you know, it just looks really solid. But my inspiration for this came from where I go skiing in the French Alps. At the top of these mountains they often have cafes, sometimes they have music, like live music, some DJs and all that kind of stuff, but they do often lean over cliffs a little bit like this, not all the time, but yeah, that was my inspiration for this. There is a building in Switzerland at the top of Jungfrau, which is one of the highest mountains in Switzerland, and it's called the Sphinx Observatory, and that was my inspiration a little bit for this, using all of the concrete. Although this is an alpine park, using wood this high up probably isn't the greatest idea, because I'm not sure what cold does to wood. I think it'll shrivel it up in some way, but yeah, it's just safer to use metal and concrete to make this building. But there we just did a little foyer for the building almost, and that comes in quite handy later on, as you'll see. But we are just deleting the floor so I can put this carpet piece in, which I found from the theme maker's toolkit, and this was a grid piece unfortunately, but that wasn't really too much of a problem, so I thought it just gave quite a nice texture for this floor, and that will be on the floor for where the cafe is. And yeah, we're just moving this all the way around now so you can see the full perimeter of the building go in now, and then we will soon duplicate this metal walkway piece around the base, and yeah, it's just for consistency in the architecture. I thought that texture looks really cool. I was looking for a metal walkway piece, and I was hoping that it was flat, but unfortunately this one was a cube. But in the end it didn't really matter because I can just use it as a building brick. And here you can see that there is no glass on this side. and this will be where the kitchen and toilets are, so there's no need to have a good view because you're not really going to be a guest there. It's more for staff. So people in the cafe will have a nice view and that'll look quite appealing, but the kitchen doesn't really need to look that great. And here are just some tables and chairs that I found on the Theme Maker's Toolkit. I don't remember who made these, but you can probably find it quite easily. Yeah, they have some nice textures on them, it just looks really realistic. But we are now making a balcony seating area outside, and you can see that this does overhang from the cliff, and I'm really happy with how this turns out afterwards. But we're just putting these beams going all the way around the base, the same colour, so it all looks like it fits. It's the same build style the whole way round, and we are putting some glass in here again, and this will be really cool to sit because there's nothing obstructing your view really. I think the glass is about 2 meters high, so you know, it's, yeah, you can just see through glass, and boom, it's a 50-meter drop below. Maybe not 50 meters, but yeah, it would be really cool sitting here to eat your lunch. You may notice that the decking for this building is made of wooden pieces, and I did earlier mention that I wasn't going to be using much wood for this, but I didn't really think it would look that great if I used these metal pieces for the whole balcony. These places where you go to skiing, where there's a big balcony, a big boardwalk area outside, they are always made of wood, so I just wanted to keep that aesthetic there, and it looks really good. It does definitely remind me of some of the bars where you go skiing. And yeah, now we are bringing in the tables and chairs from inside to outside, and these ones are a little bit more spaced apart. Yeah, I think the fact that it's inside means that, you know, you're expected to be really close together, whereas being outside, you know, you want to have a bit more freedom. So I decided to move them apart because I think they look better when there's decent gaps between them, and it's going to be on show a lot more than inside. But we are starting the cafe now, and while I haven't done a great deal of interiors in this park, I decided that it would be a good idea to do one here because of all of the glass that is outside. Well, the glass that is around this building, it's very easy to look inside, so I thought I would have to put something there so it didn't just look like an empty conference room or whatever it would be. I want it to look like it's an actual cafe. So I collected lots of Theme Maker's Toolkit items, and we're now making a bit of a self-service cafe. Again, at ski resorts they have lots of these. There are some restaurants where you can order from the table, but most of the time you have to come down, get a tray and order what you want from there. And yeah, so it's easy for you to access your drinks so that people in the kitchen can spend the time making whatever pizzas you want. So you can just collect your drinks yourself because you don't really need to have any skill to get a drink out of a fridge, if you get what I mean. I'm putting the beer behind the till because, you know, you've got to be at a decent age. You can't just smuggle a beer into your pocket and carry it to your table if you're not old enough. And yeah, you can see some trays that went in there, and I built the racks that you can slide along just so it looks like how a real cafe was supposed to look like. And I'm really happy with how this looks overall. It was quite easy. I thought it would be quite difficult to make it look good, but because I found so many really good items on the workshop, it all just came together very well. And here I put toilets over the top of that door, and I just realised that I will change that to have to be restrooms, as it is going to be an American park. But we're just capping off this whole roof, and that is pretty much the building. Well, at least the first level of the building, because we are now building what is on the roof, and you can see these concrete pieces coming around again and some glass windows. So on this next level, this will be off access for park guests, and you'll see something very huge. It's not that huge in size, but it's quite important, and I'm building a satellite dish. I found that I could use the sci-fi pieces in the game to make this, so it's just like a spaceship wing or something, but it has a nice texture, and I could just rotate it around easily to make that shape very quickly. And yeah, I'm just making the mechanism thing here so that you can see how it would rotate and how it could spin around, because these things do need to be operational. I don't want it to just be cosmetic. I mean, usually, well, this would not be able to rotate because it's not an animated item, but you know, it looks like it would be able to move whatever way they're trying to get alien signals from. They can twist it around. So this will go on the roof, and yeah, this actually took a lot longer to make than you are seeing. I spent quite a long time trying to do some weird support structure on the backside of the dish because I didn't think it looked that great as it was. So I tried to do that. I spent a good half an hour to an hour making that, and it just didn't make it look any better, and if anything it looked worse. So I decided to take that out, and I've cut that out of the time lapse as well. So I did say that there are 8 hours of work that has gone into this, and you might not be able to see all 8 hours in the time lapse, but it is a lot. You know, all the important things are here, so that's what matters. And here are some stairs going up to the roof, and I just had to stretch that out a bit so that the fence would fit, because the fences are only 4 meters long, the type that I wanted to use. I wish they had a 2-meter variant, but that just isn't a thing, and it's quite annoying because a lot of fences in this game are small and then large, so you can put the different sizes in, but for this type it was only the 4 meters ones that I could find. But there we have just gone around the perimeter of the roof with this fence, and it looks quite good. Yeah, it makes the building look a lot more complete already. At first I thought the roof looked a bit flat and a bit boring, so I wasn't originally going to have all this sci-fi stuff on the roof, but in the end I thought it would make it look a lot better. So I'm just making a ladder that goes up this dome so that it's realistically and safely accessible for not guests, for staff. Anyone who wants to do maintenance on this would probably be some kind of radio signal point, with it being at the top of a mountain. In the mountains, you know, there's not always the greatest signal, so it would be quite important for the whole region possibly. And yeah, I just had to go with those beam pieces there because the actual fences were too big, like I said earlier. And then I just realised here that the concrete stairs that go up to that block were merging through the floor. You might be able to see that. I just looked down very soon, but anyway, they are going through the floor, so I realised I had to get rid of them, and I just made a small door there. So you have to go inside this building first, so that it's not that easy to get on top. I could imagine there being some kind of lab or some kind of research facility in the room underneath the satellite dish, but this is a helicopter pad. A helipad is going on this roof. I thought that would be quite a cool thing, so I just had to put these concrete beams going through the floor, and that's because the roof looked a little bit flimsy to have helicopters landing on the top. So to make it realistically stable, I had to have that going all the way through the floor. But that is the purpose of the foyer. I didn't do that on purpose, but it does allow me to have space for where the ladder will come off. So you just saw the stairs going up to the helipad, and they exit or enter, whatever you want them to be. They are accessible from the little bit that sticks off the roof, so that just came in quite handy, and it wasn't deliberate. But yeah, we're just using some art shapes to make this. Again, I'm rotating it around so that it's a perfect circle. I looked at some reference images of what markings they have on helicopter pads, and it seemed to be, obviously there's always the H in the middle, a yellow small circle, a white wider circle, and then a dashed line, a dashed circle around the outside. So we're just adding the propellers and yeah, all that stuff onto the helicopter so that it looks like it would be able to fly. But I think that came in the studios pack, and it is really good, to be fair. It's got some very nice details. Here we're just putting some snow around. With this being at the top of the mountain, it would be quite cold, so it won't have melted yet. Let's just imagine it's around May time. Most of the snow's melted further down where it's a bit warmer, but at the summit where it's still fairly cold, some of the snow is still there and it's not melted yet. But now the building is complete, and we're just going to be putting some rockwork bushes and trees and I do speed this up a lot, so you won't be able to see all of it because I have been doing it a lot in the rest of this series, as you will know. But that's all from me. I hope you have enjoyed watching. As I say, I'm very happy with how that building turned out. So yeah, stay tuned for the remainder of this series because there's not long to go. Thank you for watching and goodbye.